Greetings and salutations once more. Ryan here, setthepacetriathlon.com, and we're going to talk about Ironman Des Moines 2022, and we're going to talk about the bike course. It's going to be a little bit different than the race in 2021 because the race in 2021 was 70.3. It was half the distance. This year is going to be a full Ironman distance. So they got to change it a little bit and modify it and add more to it to get you 112 miles instead of 56. So go to the website, we hit the bike map. Make sure I always download these from my computer if you're watching this video. The comments in the YouTube links will take you to a link on my website where I've downloaded it and saved it for you guys if you want to see this later. If you're not on the website or anything like that, you're seeing this on YouTube, you want to look at it on your phone or something like that, I got a link for you, you can look at it. But anyway, hitting the course, notice 112 miles, and you're going through the wonderful town and outskirts of Des Moines, Iowa, and it is one loop. So that's kind of nice, is you don't have to do repeat sections, or if you look at the other way, sometimes people like to do multiple loops because then you kind of get to know the course, get a feel for it, so when you come through the second time, you kind of know where to scale back a little bit, where you can do a little bit of damage. Unfortunately, you're not going to get that advantage on this course, but if you look at it, it's pretty straightforward, except for this little loop here where you're going through the park. Just make sure you're paying attention to the course markings and everything to make sure that you don't miss any of these sections, because you have to do it twice to make sure that you hit the entire, they're doing this little squiggly area to make sure they get you 112 miles. So make sure that you pay attention to the turns and don't miss any of the course, because you don't want to cut it short. So when you come in transition, working too hard. When you come into the transition, you're here in the Waterworks Park, so you finish the swim, you come run on this little trail system, you run underneath Fluor Drive to the Waterworks area. When you hit the bike, usually for the half, they had us come out to the back trails here and then hit this little road, Grays Lake Road out here, and then right out of the park area, and then they had us kind of running around in these other little roads, parks and stuff. So this is where they're going to have us make up some of those miles, doing some little funky loops in here and all kinds of fun little stuff. So just be ready for that. When you first get out, you're not going to be able to hammer it. You're not going to be able to set your FTP and just, crank that out. You're going to have to go through. You're going to have to deal with bike traffic and other riders and everything. So head on a swivel those first few miles and the last few miles. Make sure you don't have an accident. Make sure you don't run on anybody. Don't be rude if you're one of the faster guys or gals on a bike. Don't be rude to other people. Don't give them a little bit of flexibility. If they're 2 or 3 wide on the path and you can't get by, hey, I'm on your left. Please don't be that jerk that comes up to on your left. You know who you are if you're that person. If you are, I'm sorry. Nobody likes those people. Especially, you're not going to win or lose the race in these first couple miles going through this park. Now, the end, you're not going to win or lose the race anyway. It's a good kind of cool down section anyway. So just be ready for that. Just be ready. Mentally know that when you come in and when you go out, when you come in, there's going to be a little section where it's going to be a little bit more technical with turns and just kind of with bike traffic and stuff. Just be ready for that. But when you come out on here, man, it's going to be full bore. Just put the pedal down and bike. Especially these sections, man, where it's just straight for miles and miles, where there are no turns, there's no nothing, and hopefully no wind. We are in Iowa, so definitely make sure that you're comfortable in the aero position when you're out there riding, because extended periods of time on the same road, you want to be as aero as possible, especially if there's going to be any kind of wind on there, which, like I said, in Iowa, you're up north, usually there's a little bit of wind. When I did the race in 2021, I ended up with a flat, and that sucked. And they cut the bike course in half because of the rain delay in the morning. So we did not get the full 56 miles. So it was a little bit hard, but the 30-ish miles that we did do was on nice, fresh, concrete roads. It was kind of nice, so it wasn't too bad. So just be aware, the road conditions, for the most part, should be in pretty good shape. I haven't heard too many people talk about it or complain about it. Just be ready for that. But definitely be ready for the aero position. Be ready. In 2021, when we did the race in June, it was hot. It got hot. The sun came out. So be ready with sunscreen, or if you're wearing a tri-kit, I have a long sleeve that comes down to the kneecaps almost. Protects from the sun, protects you from getting sunburned. But make sure you sunscreen your ears, your face, Anything you don't want burnt your legs or anything like that, because if the sun comes out, which is likely, it could get warm that time of year. It could get cool. So make sure you're paying attention to the weather when you're coming out, so you know what to pack, what to bring. But it could be hot on race day. Just be prepared for that. This isn't going to be necessarily the cakewalk as far as the weather goes. So if the sun's out, make sure you got sunglasses. Make sure you got sunscreen. Make sure you got warm weather gear. Especially, a tri-kit or something like that breathes well, that you can maybe, spray water on yourself to cool down with, and protects you from the UV sun, so you do not get sunburnt through your tri-kit. So just make sure you're ready with that. But when we look through this course, it is a little bit technical in the start and the finish, and you got a little U-turn section here. But other than that, it is pretty straightforward as far as turns go. It's nothing crazy. You're not taking through a bunch of neighborhoods or anything like that and a bunch of turns. But the big thing is, if you look at the elevation gain, 4,000 feet of elevation gain over a 112-mile course, that's nothing to sneeze at. Notice the profile. You're kind of climbing up as you're going out. And then it's kind of an overall downhill gradual coming back into transition area. So if you go out and you try to burn all your matches there at the beginning of the race, I think you're going to kind of pay for it. You got a little bit of a rest, but when you're coming back in, there's a little bit more downhill section, downhill overall elevation loss. But just be ready for that. That the first, 60 miles are going to be a little bit of a slog when you're out there, especially if there's a little bit of a headwind. So just when you're out there in that first half of the course, come out measured, get your power numbers, make sure you're riding within yourself, and then maybe you got a little bit extra you can give in that last half of the bike section, but don't burn all your matches in the first 60 miles of this race trying to power over those hills and try to keep, I want my bike mile per average to be this or whatever. Stick to your power, stick to your heart rate, stick to your metrics that you're going by, stick to your perceived rate of exertion. Don't go beyond the outside of yourself for this bike, because you can definitely always spend more energy on the run if you've got it, but you can never get the energy back. Once you spend it on race day, you're not getting it back until you finish the race and you're done and you're home eating your pizza or whatever. So this, I believe, is going to be a challenging course. Like I said, you're going in all the directions, so make sure you're comfortable riding in the aero position. I think there's going to be long stretches of opportunity to where you're in the aero position. You don't need to be out for climbing. There's going to be a few sections, a little bit of a steep climb, but nothing crazy. So, once you do them, there's a few little sections. Definitely look on Ruby. They've got the courses on there. Let's see if I can pull it up real quick without using up too much time in the video. So if you go to Ruby, if you go to routes, if I was on top of my game, I would have had this already pulled up. Type in Des Moines. See my typing skills. So notice they got Des Moines Ironman 2022. They've got 56 miler, Des Moines 70.3. So the 70.3, you can't just ride that twice on Ruby and be like, oh, I've got it covered, because it's just, double the distance. Well, they're not doing two loops. Remember, this is one loop course. They're coming out and doing the bike ride. So at least the map is here on Ruby. Click on route details. So notice this is it. And notice I have it on mine as my favorites. So I've been riding this on my trainer on my long rides. So I kind of get a feel for what it's going to be like when you're putting all this effort into it. And when you get to 60 miles, it's a little bit downhill. So you can always compare that to the bike course profile. See that profile, see this profile, and it looks pretty much the same. Send about 4,200 feet. They're a little bit short on the total bike mileage, but for the most part, this is pretty accurate. So I've got a Ruby subscription. Ruby and Ironman were working together during the pandemic when they're doing mostly virtual races to ride everything on Ruby. They've kind of separated, but they've still got people that can upload courses. So somebody's uploaded this route. You're not going to see, they don't have video with it, but you can add it to your favorites. And then when you're in the Ruby app, you can pick it from your favorites and you can ride the actual course and get a good feel for it. So it's kind of nice. Or you can look on here, you can export it. You can export a GPX file. You can export other file types. So you can export it, and then you can import it into other applications. You can import it into Garmin Connect, and then you can have your device. You can have your Phoenix 6 or your Edge device run your trainer. You can ride it that way. If you're not on Groovy, you don't have a subscription, you can do it that way. So, like I say, I've ridden it several times. So there's ways, if you're not out there, to ride the course from a virtual standpoint, but just make sure if you find the route that it is the same route, and this looks like it's pretty much the same route. So I would say definitely get out there, ride it on virtual if you can. Just be ready. It's going to be a little bit of a slog when you come out here in the initial 60 miles. And once you get past 60, it should be a little bit, I'm not going to say easy. There's a few little climbs here and there, but it's not going to be as challenging. So when you come in, it shouldn't be as draining as the first 60. So pace yourself in the first 60. Make sure you're doing hydration. Make sure you're doing nutrition, especially if it's hot. Hit that hydration. Make sure that you're getting your hydration at the aid station. Special needs if you need it. Let's see if they've got it noted here on special needs. Usually it's a halfway point. I do not see it quickly here looking at the map. But usually at the 50-mile point, they've got the special needs drop. So I would look on this back here on the Solo Highway 6 or South Old Highway 6. I'd look for the special needs area. So I use it. I have all my stuff in there. Whatever you put in there, you're not getting back. So don't put anything important in there. But I'll put like fig bars. I'll put my energy bars that I use. I use Kurt's energy bars. Sometimes I'll put cookies in there if I think I'm craving it. Reese's Pieces. I'll put a bottle of ice in there so it keeps everything cool from melting. So when I get there, it's not a melty mess. Might throw in a Mountain Dew or something like that if I'm feeling that. Maybe some extra mix of my sports drink that I have on my bike or anything like that. But I think the key is hydration, nutrition, especially if it's going to get warm. And don't be fooled, even though we're in Iowa in June, it can still get hot. You're still in the Midwest, and weather can change on a dime. It can be 40 degrees one day and 80 degrees the next. So just be ready for that, and be ready for possible weather delays. It could storm. It is Midwest in late spring. It's still a gamble as far as weather goes. Like I said, we just have storms pop up out of nowhere. It can be severe. So just be ready for that. Be ready for any contingency out there. Late delay, the course has changed, the swim is canceled, all those kind of fun stuff. Be ready for that, but be ready for on the course. Be ready for wind. Make sure you can ride in aero position. Be ready. You've got that power built up, because it is 4,000 feet of climbing over 112 miles is no joke, and is spread nicely throughout the entire course. It's not like it's one big monster hill. You've got this entire course where you're going to have to go through that. But it is a little bit nice when you look here at the tail end. It's kind of a little bit drop off, and there's no substantial climbing here towards the end as you go through Waterworks Park area. And so that's going to be kind of nice when you're going through the big loop and Grays Lake Road and all these other little areas here. So a little bit of respite as you're coming in. Like I said, when you're doing this ride and you're coming in, take it easy. Don't be in a huge hurry. You're not going to win or lose a race in that last little section. You're going to win or lose a race over this entire 100 miles over here, besides these little couple miles in running through the parks. So once you come in there, that's not the time to make up time at the start. It's not time to make up time at the end. That's time to just kind of power down, make sure that you're safe, staying up on two wheels, and you get into transition in one piece. Hydrate, make sure you get all the nutrition you need, and then get ready for that run course. So with that, I'm going to end the video. So hopefully this helps you out. Give it a thumbs up on Facebook or YouTube. Give me a subscribe on YouTube. Give me a follow on Facebook for the page to see future videos and anything else I'm talking about for Ironman Des Moines or tips on racing in general. Always put comments in there. If you have any questions or comments, I always read them all. Try to get back to you guys if there's questions. If there's something I missed or you think there's a good point I should add, I'll go back and add it to the video later. I always like to hear from you guys. Make sure that this stuff is pertinent for you. This is helping you out. With that, bid you farewell. Good luck in training, and I will see you out on race day, because I'm doing this race with you guys, so we'll see you out there.